Earlier today, a number of civil rights groups, including More Squared, the Urban League, and some others, went back and they were on the steps of federal court renewing their call for a DOJ investigation into the patterns and practices of the Kansas City Police Department. Do you support that? Because what they were saying is that it's been 2 years since they made that first request and nothing's happened.
You know, I have not heard or read their press statement yet. I have talked to those groups over time.
But in general, do you support a patterns and practice investigation by the Department of Justice into the Kansas City Police Department?
You know, I don't believe that we've reached that level yet of need. I will continue to try to make sure, certainly as a police commissioner, that I'm asking all the questions necessary and getting necessary answers about what's going on. Relating to a recent shooting, I know the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office and Missouri Highway Patrol will be investigating what comes out of that. I want to let them do their work, and then where we see what those results are, then look to engage the federal government if necessary. But right now, I am with many in trying to make sure that we're giving Police Chief Graves a chance to do right by the institution, and frankly working with new police commissioners to do the same.
The other thing, on a related note here, you announced the start of a incarceration panel.
Yeah.
A lot of violent and non-violent offenders don't go to jail now.
That's correct.
Okay, what's the intent of this?
You know, the intent is very simple, and I think it actually relates to the last question. If there was something that was missed over the last 4 years, and I'll take my hits for this too, too much of everything we've talked about has been an either or. Either you have police, you have a jail, or you're investing in violence prevention in young people. You can do both. And part of what's happening in Kansas City right now is we continue on our path to building a new jail facility. We're negotiating with Jackson County on it, but a lot of people want to make sure that we're still finding pathways for those for whom incarceration is not the right result, that they can get mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, trying to do, frankly, what cities should be doing, balancing and making sure that we have an enforcement side, but also one that helps prevention and services.
One of the things that, here, let me ask you this question, more than that. You said on Tuesday night that you think that your overwhelming victory gives you a mandate
Yes.
for a bold, progressive strategy for Kansas City.
Yep.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean that in the broadest sense. I don't see progressive as a democratic necessarily view. It is.
Well, many people do.
I'm sure they do. What I see it as is that we're actually going to be a city that tries creative and new things to be the best city we can be in America. I grew up here. I know many have been here for some time. I think it is good that we are now, for the first time substantially, investing in affordable housing from the local government side. We're investing in neighborhood revitalization in lots of parts of the city that often aren't mentioned. Southern Clay County, South Kansas City, things that we've been needing to do for years. And so I look forward to us saying that to the extent we have solutions, it is not just maybe we do one project on the east side or one project downtown and call it a day, but it's engaging more of our city because frankly, a lot of Midwestern cities aren't growing. We still are, basically because of the Northland and downtown Kansas City, which has seen strong growth. I want to see that growth everywhere, including all of our Jackson County portions of Kansas City, and I think that's what I meant on Tuesday night.
Do you think that the current reassessment process in Jackson County, which you don't have any control over,
That's
I know that, but how much of a hindrance is that sort of process to trying to do what you'd like to do here and continue to grow neighborhoods?
Look, it's a substantial challenge. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My property taxes went up about, I think, 67% or so, and that's getting off easy compared to a lot of people in Jackson County. There are going to be a lot of people in Jackson County who will not be able to pay these property taxes. You know, I've heard different reasons and rationale, and this is not a Kansas City, Missouri obligation, but that being said, I would hope our partners at Jackson County can find a way to perhaps stagger these types of increases, to work with more people who are going to have very real challenges. I think there will be a substantial number of appeals. This will become a mess of a process, and so what I would say right now is let's try to act up front to say, you know, maybe there'll be better payment plans for how you can make them or any other steps, because I'm scared that people will be losing their homes in a little while.
On another level here, there was a piece in the Star, and there's been subsequent discussion about this, says that the downtown ballpark discussion is stalled.
Yeah.
You think it's stalled?
I don't think it's stalled. I think that the Royals have pursued a very deliberate path, I guess I would say. And what I've said a number of different times hasn't changed. I did a debate in this room 4 years ago when I was running for mayor the first time that said we need a new downtown baseball stadium like I need a new Maserati.
Right.
It'd be great to have, but I don't have the money. And I am in the same position a lot of Kansas Cityans are. This could be interesting to have, although a lot of Kansas Cityans don't even think that. But how's it getting paid for? What's the ask going to be? That's what we don't have information on, and that's what I want an answer out of. I think that's what the county executive, whom I've talked to a lot about this, wants an answer on, and frankly, even the Clay County flirtation. I think it is fair, and I'm the mayor of the largest city in Clay County too. I think it is fair to say to any of our taxpayers are going to be asked, what does the public ask? How much is going on the private side? And what is the long-term community benefit for whatever community it's in? Those have not been answered, so while it's not stalled, I think they need to get to work on that before we move forward further.
Is in your mind a clock ticking on when you find out the details of that?
County Executive White said this the other day, and I think it's a good reminder. When the Clay County news came out, he said, all I know is we got a lease with Jackson County until 2031. So I guess the clock in some ways is not necessarily ticking, but I think the likelihood of success becomes more challenged by the longer this becomes some sort of soap operatic long discussion. I mean, here are the things that need to be shared to the people of Kansas City, and in my opinion today. Why the need for a move? What's the plan for perhaps wherever they're going? And what's the funding idea? I don't think that this is just going to be a goodwill. We all love the Kansas City Royals. I grew up with them, so I like them. It's not the greatest of seasons that we're having right now, but nonetheless, people like them. But I think people want to say, why, when we have such a glorious facility at Kauffman Stadium, might we move? And right now, with all of this kind of tepidness that I think we're getting, perhaps from the team, nobody's hearing this story for why downtown or why North Kansas City, and certainly why a big public cost from here.
And another end of that component that also no one has heard of is there's going to be an ask for the Chiefs. So there's going to be an ask for the Royals, and there's been no discussion at all from the front office of the Chiefs.
We have noticed, and I think everyone recognizes that, particularly in football, the Buffalo Bills got $800 million of an investment in the stadium. The Raiders had $700 million. I think the Titans in Nashville are looking at a $1.5 billion type
Something
facility.
in that range.
Right, with the state of Tennessee and the city of Nashville putting a lot of that money in. And so I have some real concern. I've worked well with the Chiefs, of course, a big fan, a big supporter. But yeah, I don't think that this is just a Royals conversation. This is Royals, this is Chiefs, this is ultimately T-Mobile Center as well, something that's not mentioned a lot, and the Big 12 asking for money. A conversation you can break news on is, I've had chats with them too. You know what? Sports is costing real money now, and I think we need to have a real decision about how much we're looking to invest in the years ahead.
Well, elaborate on the Big 12 and the T-Mobile Center.
I think the Big 12 certainly has been in a strong position. They've added teams a few years ago. I think there was more concern about what the future of the Big 12 might be, but I'm proud of the path that they've had. Certainly some.
Are they coming to the city with a request?
I will say this. I've been fortunate enough to have meetings with the commissioner of the Big 12, whom I respect greatly. I believe that he has a commitment to Kansas City. I think part of that commitment to Kansas City is what's our commitment to them, and I think that's going to be a conversation in the years ahead too.
What does all that mean? Are they asking for money? I mean, where does that stand?
I think every time somebody comes to City Hall, there ends up being a monetary ask. So I don't know if anybody's necessarily where they at a point where there's a dollar figure associated with it yet.
But you expect one
I
coming.
will expect. I expect Kansas City to be competing with places like Houston for the Big 12 tournament in the future, and I think that there will be a monetary ask and an improvement ask at T-Mobile Center in connection with what that looks like long term.
Okay, I haven't asked you this yet, but what's your reaction to your new city council?
Yeah.
To the new city council, it's not yours.
Look, I said this in a separate forum. I do think this is going to be a more just purely liberal city council. I think if you look at almost every position, with perhaps the exception of the third at large, you have a candidate that is more politically progressive than their predecessor. I don't necessarily say that with glee. I just say it as a reportable fact. And so what that means is you're going to have, I think, a little bit more aggressive discussions on some of our incentive policy than perhaps we've had over the last 4 years. I think you're going to see more aggressive discussion on the production of housing, using some tools that perhaps have not been looked at in Kansas City. There's a group that pushes social housing, for example. I think you'll hear more of that. But interestingly, I think we will reflect more major American cities where you have a clear fight, perhaps, between the Fraternal Order of Police interests and probably our Kansas City tenants are more democratic socialist type interests. And that is something that largely Kansas City, which has been more of a moderate town, has not necessarily always had. But I think the politics of major American cities in the 2020s have caught up with us, and I expect that to be a look. Because if you look at the election results, I think there are two groups that you can say were clear winners. KC tenants did well, picked up a seat, almost picked up an at-large seat, and the Fraternal Order of Police, which showed amazing strength, particularly in the new 1st District, but throughout the Northland. They both have in-district council members that I think will be very loyal to their groups, and I think there's a question as to whether the moderates, in which I consider myself, can hold, or whether we end up in extreme battles thereafter.
Final question. Everybody keeps asking you this. Are you going to serve the full term?
You know, I think it's too early to know. I'm excited to have this job. I'm blessed to have it. What I've said is that, you know, if I get a call from somebody very important and says that we have an opportunity for you to serve your state or your country, I'll certainly listen to it. But for now, I fully intend to be the mayor of Kansas City until 2027.
That's all I got. Anything else you want to make sure you touch on?
I think we're good.
Very good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.